All right, we're back for session number 2 tonight. It is our Monday night live DJ chat night. With me in this session, I've got Rick Brewer. Good evening, Rick.
Hi, John. Good to be with you. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been an ordeal, but hey, we're still up and vertical, so that's a good thing.
Another day to fight the battles, brother.
That's what it is. And we'll go with that because that works. I'd much rather be able to than not. So there's our way. Tonight, Rick, let's talk a little bit about value. Now, this is something that at this time of the year, as we're getting ready for the upcoming wedding season for 2017, we need to be selling effectively now to have a good 2017, and that means that we have to be able to convey our value. It's tough. The people are calling us and are asking for price, and we need to change. So what's kind of how do we get started with the idea of turning it from a price thing to showing value that they can say, wow, it is worth spending more with this?
Yeah, and that's a great question, which I get all the time. The situation is we get a lot of brides. 85% of the brides who are getting married typically have not been married before. They haven't bought the flowers, the venue, the this, the that. They haven't bought a DJ like this before. So they don't know what or how to shop. They don't know what questions to ask. And so based on that, they go to what they do know, which is green dollar bills. Anybody can measure one green dollar bill to two green dollar bills, and that's easy.
Sure.
But they don't know how to measure what we say is good or what we say we do. They don't know how to measure our service offerings. They don't know how to measure our quality. They don't know how to measure our experience. So we need to teach them. And rather than falling into the rut of just copy and paste what is out there and looking at some competitor's ad, or here's one of my favorites, is when you go to a Facebook group and you ask their opinion about what they think. Not that they've been proven that they know what they're doing. It's just a bunch of other people in the industry, and you get opinions of a bunch of other people that are owners of businesses, not brides per se or prospective wedding couples. So based on that, we need to shift the conversation at the very beginning with our marketing, and we need to market value. We need to learn how to market value, and we need to learn how to speak value, because value is what matters to the right client. And John, you've had clients who they said that their budget was here, but then they end up going up to here, even though their budget was way down here. And they stretched it all the way up here. The reason why is they learned that, number one, they built trust with you.
Yep.
And number two, they figured they started to see the value of what you offer. And everybody's had that experience, no matter what in the wedding industry. So when we start shifting the conversation and we learn how to sell value and I recommend you do it on a very fundamental way. Find the number 1, 2, and 3 thing that you do and why it's valuable to the bride, and talk about the why. Talk about the end result, and that helps.
That end result idea. Now, when you're doing this and you're conveying that, are you trying to like draw a picture for her? I mean, a mental image, or what's the best way to kind of sell those end results?
Right. We buy on emotion, John. We don't buy on logic, because logically speaking, it doesn't make any bit of sense for a girl to buy a dress that she's only going to wear once that costs north of $3,000.
Yeah, logic would kill that quick, wouldn't it?
Right. And it's like, but you ask a girl that, and it makes perfect sense to a girl. It doesn't make sense to put ourselves up to our eyeballs in debt for the day of our lives to begin our wedding on that, when people suggest that the number one reason for divorce is financial problems. So based on that, logic has nothing to do with the process, and emotion has everything to do with it. So if we're going to talk about value, we need to talk about the emotional result that we provide. For example, as a DJ, we can talk about the Bose system that we just bought at the last convention all day long. But the problem with it is that doesn't really blow my skirt up, and it probably won't blow her skirt up. So we need to talk about how we're going to have her friends and her family out there dancing, and we're going to be the gold standard of weddings. So every time they go to another wedding, they're going to say, well, this is nice, but boy, her wedding last year, that was great, And so that's when we start selling the results, to where there's 4 buttons, emotional buttons, that when we push these buttons, John, then we're touching on the sales strategy that works. Number one button is they want to impress. Every girl wants to impress her guests. Number two, they want to enjoy it. They want their guests to enjoy themselves. They want to enjoy themselves. They want their groom to enjoy themselves. Number three, they want to win. There's a secret unspoken of competition, and it might be mom competing with her past wedding,
Yep.
or against her sister's daughter's wedding, or cousins or friends or whatever. They want to post the most great pictures of everybody and the great stories on Facebook. And then number four, and this is really a real zinger, is the Cinderella principle. The Cinderella principle is that a lot of these girls are never going to have another chance to be the star of their own show. They get one night to be Cinderella at the ball. And we are lucky enough to be part of that. And now imagine that you're there instead of schlocky DJ down the road. And we're able to help her have the best wedding ever that she could ever imagine having. And we're making it just absolutely, sorry, had a client calling. And we're making it the best wedding ever, and we fulfill all of her dreams. She's there, beautiful chandeliers and everything, and it's everything that she'd ever hoped for. Versus she bought on price.
Rick, let's take a little break here. I want to come back and let's talk about the way in which, when we're conveying value, we're talking value. And if we have DJs who would be the guy who's on price, but he's saying the same value things, and how we would deal with that. So let's dive into that here after our quick little break here, if we could.
You got it.
We've got our sponsors for our DJ and TV shows, gang. We've got Newmark, DJ Event Planner, and Electro Voice, and Top Hits USA.
Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, so those are the sponsors for the DJ and TV shows this fall. So please, if you're in the market for any of their services, go show them some love. Then tell them you saw them on DJ and TV. Rick, before the break, we were talking about you were working your way around and kind of talking about how value and would be a little bit different than when the guy who's selling on price. But there's going to be instances where that I'm charging, in the $1,000 range, and there's going to be a guy who's selling for a fraction of that. And that person's going to be selling and talking about value and different things. How does a person help a bride differentiate between their value and my value in a situation like that?
Right, because if you say it on the internet, then it makes it true, right?
Oh, exactly. And if I'm the best DJ and he's the best DJ, well, yeah, we both must be the best.
Right, and I've shown ads in some of my seminars before to where people actually outright lie. They use other people's pictures and they're a photographer and all that stuff. So you do have that person that you have to compete with every once in a while. That's just, let's say they're inflating the truth.
Yeah.
And so they have a potentially great career as a politician ahead of them. However, in our industry, I look at it as somewhat sacred. These girls they're looking at one day in their life and they don't get redos. So based on this, we've got to protect these girls. And the wedding couples that are out there right now, they don't want to spend $30,000 on a wedding, save a couple $100 on a guy that says he can do it but doesn't. So we need to be able to prove what we say. And this is where, number one, video comes in very handy. That shows what we do. And if you're not using video, it doesn't take much. It just takes, just simple cell phone. I mean, it's like carry your iPhone with you to the wedding and show yourself with the party when it's a rip roaringest. Get some video testimonials, both from other vendors who are in the industry, as well as past brides who like and love what you did for them. That's one of the easiest ways to prove what you do, is to show it. And the people that do more videos get more business, proven fact. So do more videos and get good at doing videos. John, when you first did your first video on this, I bet you it wasn't near as good as it is today. True?
Yes, there's a little bit of differentiating or difference between then and now.
Right, but if you hadn't started back then, you wouldn't be where you are now. So you got to start somewhere. So start and prove who you are. There's so many really just excellent, really good people in the wedding industry that we can prove who we are easily by just taking a few simple extra steps and adding to the flavor of our marketing. The wedding couple today, the millennial, doesn't want to know bullet points. They want to know results. And so when we start talking about quality and we start advertising and marketing ourselves as quality, then it's going to show. You can listen to Mark Farrell about raising your prices. If you don't match what you do with your marketing, why should they even go to the next step of talking to you to see if you're legit? So you got to start with your marketing, make sure that everything's uptight and it's professional and it looks great, and then go from there.
Rick, we're getting towards the end, and I wanted to hit a little bit more on the emotional. We were talking about selling emotionally. We're going to spend some time talking about the emotional, so maybe some triggers or some ideas that we can help to sell that value through creating emotion with the bride. But before we do that, you've got a special offer for our viewers, and I just put the link in the description on YouTube. But talk about that a little bit for us before, and then we'll finish up with how to connect emotionally with that bride a little bit more.
Gotcha. I've got a few sets of these left. I'm shifting over to a new program. It's called the Wedding Mastermind Set. It's 12 audio programs, and then I'm throwing in a bonus of the Getting on the Preferred Vendors List CD as well, and it's going to be about 10 hours worth of listening of instruction. Make sure that your stuff is uptight and it's hitting the right standards, to where your marketing is in the right place with the right message and the right mojo to get them to move where you want them to move, as well as simple things like how to work a bridal show effectively. Some people don't like bridal shows. I get it. But I mean, it's like face-to-face marketing is where the millennials are going for trust, and that's where it's the most effective for people. So if you have the right stuff, then you can do better for next year. And so I've got probably around 7, maybe 8 sets of this. I didn't count beforehand. So they're $57. I'm going to pay for the postage on it. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to any of my stuff before, this is a good entry point. Try it out and see what you think.
Yeah, and I put the link down in the description. If you guys are watching it on YouTube, just click refresh and it will pop up. And I'm going to try to get it over to Facebook also, so you guys can check it out there. So
great, thank you, John.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's talk. We're talking to the bride, and we're creating a value by connecting emotionally with her. Are there some trigger points or some areas in which we would know to go to talk about to really kind of connect with her emotionally like that?
Right. Ask her questions. The right questions will get to the right results. Let me pose it this way. Have you ever been to a wedding where you saw somebody, a DJ, for example, that they just blew you away and it was just so fun that everybody's still talking about it today? And put her in the mode and paint the picture. Have her paint her picture to you, though, not you paint your picture to her. What you do is she starts painting her picture, and then you paint yourself in it. So what was it that you liked about it? What were some of the things that you'd like to incorporate into your wedding without copying, of course, but you make it uniquely yours? And then you start slowly edging yourself into that picture. Based on, again, brides are looking for results that they don't know. Those 4 triggers that I mentioned earlier, if we can start talking to them, talking to those triggers, saying, how's the wedding planning? You have some of your best friends or your cousin or your sister helping you plan, and then she'll no, I'm not letting my sister plan because her wedding was top and I'm trying to be hers, blah blah blah. Boom, there's a trigger right there for you.
Yeah.
And this is not being salesy. This is just talking to her about what's important to her. To me, the competition factor doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter what matters to me. It matters what matters to each and every client that's in front of you. So you have to get good at finding out what that is, and then you can talk to that point.
Very nice. I like that. Talking about the wedding, especially you mentioned that earlier with the mothers in a competition, and the number of times over the years I've had that experience where that was the trigger, that mom was the driving force to hire me because she had someone to upstage a little bit. So
right, mom will do the selling to dad. Mom has access to the checkbook more so than dad does. If mom says it, then it will happen a lot of times. And if you start talking to mom's needs and that's what needs to push the buttons, boom, you're in. So,
yeah. Although I've got to say, for those of you watching, is I haven't had as many mothers at my client meetings in the last probably 3 years as I had before that. It used to be very, very common that you would have mom, maybe mom and dad, but mom and bride and groom. Bride's mom, bride and groom.
gotcha.
I've had one meeting, I think, this past year where that was the case. Otherwise, maybe last year I didn't even have any. Just hasn't had as much because, are the millennials trying to be a little more independent? And I know this is off our topic, but would you
Yeah.
perceive that?
Well, yeah, and that's a great point that you bring up there because, I mean, it's like sometimes the bride's doing it all on her own. Sometimes she wants to do it via email and not even have any contact with you. She kind of cocoons herself away from the salespeople who are going to somehow hold her down and steal her purse and force her to buy. So whoever's there, you've got to find out. Just talk to them. Just get to know them a little bit. Get good at your interpersonal questioning to where you can find out. So how do you guys know each other? You've known each other for long, and get them to start talking. If it's the bride and groom talking, that's what I've heard mostly lately is it's bride and groom showing up. Is that what you're seeing as well, John?
Exactly. Yes, I have. Whether it's
Yeah.
been a Skype meeting or a face-to-face, it has been both. I haven't had one recently where it's just been one, or the bride, which again used to happen. I would have the bride and the mother almost more than I had the groom involved.
Right, and maybe it is a fierce move for independence. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever it is what it is. So deal with who's in front of you, but get to know them both and talk to them both equally. Even if the groom is slouched back in the chair, almost like, oh God, can this be over? Just try to talk to him and says, yeah, you know what, you're a champ, man. Most grooms don't come to these meetings, so good for you. It really shows that you care about what's important to your fiance, and kudos. Let him know that it's a good thing that he's there.
Got a couple of minutes left. Let's talk about negative, because there's sometimes when we're talking value and we're talking especially selling against other companies, the negative side can come into it. What are your recommendations when it comes to using any kind of negativity in that question and answer or that face-to-face selling?
Yeah, the pain principle of selling, I'm not a fan of that in the wedding and event space because weddings and events are supposed to be happy, good times. We're supposed to be the fun people. We're not supposed to be what happens if somebody comes and screws up your wedding people.
Right.
We're not, selling against what might happen. I'm not a fan of that, and nor have I been. And there's a lot of technique out there that suggests that you sell negatively. In fact, there's studies that have been done that suggest that people respond much more to negativity than they do to positive. But if you start talking about the emotional results about what you provide, and again, think back to it. Think back to the last testimonial that was 5-star rating that you just blew the roof off the place. What was it that you did? What was it that you brought to that? That's the positive emotional results of what you do. And so you just start, if you're not sure what your emotional results are, start reviewing your reviews. Start looking at your thank you cards. Start looking and asking some of your past brides. Say, really, I mean, it's like if you had to point to just one thing, what would it be? And if it were two things, what would number two be? And then you'll start seeing the flow. And if those things really got those brides jazzed about you and what you did, that'd probably be a good thing to start marketing.
For sure. And I've talked to DJs who have done just that. Have gone back and reviewed those cards. And a number of times they found something that they were not selling on or weren't talking about or is that side that's like, wow, well, I do that. And I didn't realize it had value to my clients. And they've Bill Herman, he's told this story. He found out that he had something that he did was way more valuable to his clients than he had ever imagined. And that became part of that discussion.
Right. And what's valuable to us doesn't matter. That's the key. You just nailed it. Perfect. Gold star, John. What matters to us as owners doesn't matter. What matters to our prospective and our current clients, that's what matters. And so we got to talk to their needs, not ours. Story about Bill. I mean, getting outside perspective. Bill came to a talk that was given in Minnesota. And he said, boy, you are just so present and you are just there and you are just engaged with the audience. But you know what you don't do? What's that? You don't smile, Rick. You don't look like you're having fun. And it's like, and so I took that advice and I went back and I smiled. The next week I was back in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I smiled and I got a date. So, and I told Bill, thanks, Bill, I got a date.
Rick, we got to wrap things up. If people want to get a hold of you and get in touch with you, have questions, where can they go to find?
Getmorebrides.com, Rick at getmorebrides.com. I got a free report up there, the industry, state of the industry report. If you haven't gotten that, go download it. There's no charge for it. You just got to give me your email address and then we email it over to you. And also I put up a thing for some free videos that I did, some business of weddings videos that I don't know if I put that link up there. If it's not up there, just email me. I'll send you the link for that. But all good stuff. Give you kind of a bird's eye view, so you don't feel so isolated.
That sounds great. Once again, in the description below and on the YouTube video, there is the link if you want to go out and get that. Yes, Brandon, I'm going to put that link. The next show will be starting here in just a few minutes. I can't grab that link quick and easy. We're going to be talking about moving from teaching to the DJ world for those of us who did that. So we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Rick, I want to thank you for being on tonight and sharing some great information.
Great. Thanks for having me, John. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
We'll see you guys back here in about 3 or 4 minutes.